Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You sent us a fascinating set of sources today, and they really get into some foundational spiritual questions, don't they? Complex ideas,
Yeah.
religious texts, and the very mechanics of the soul.
They absolutely do. And this is exactly the kind of material where you have to look beyond, the simple surface translation, the tarjuma.
Right.
Our mission today really is to use the insights from Qalandar Baba Aulia and Murshid Karim to dig deeper, to get to the spiritual science, the true intent, the mahum.
The mahom. And we're really on the hunt for those aha moments today. We're going to talk about why a huge hadith about stopping evil is, well, it's almost always misinterpreted.
Massively. And we'll get into what divine decree really means. And then there's this incredible story about Prophet Abraham that unlocks this concept of intimacy, or Insiyat.
Okay, so let's start with that first big source of confusion,
Yeah.
the hadith about wrongdoing. The common idea is stop it with your hand, if not your tongue, and if not that, then your heart. And it's taught as this call to action, but you're asking, how does a normal person actually do that? How do you use physical force in modern society?
And that's exactly it. That aggressive, literal reading is where the whole thing just breaks down. Qalandar Baba Aulia said the error is right there in the translation itself.
In the tarjuma.
Yes. He called the translators our simpletons because that interpretation immediately clashes with a core principle right from the Quran.
And what's that principle?
It's the verse, Lasta by Musaitir.
Okay.
It means you are not a warden, or you are not a master over them.
So if the divine word says you're not a warden,
How can another instruction tell you to use force? It can't. It's just not spiritually permissible.
I mean, if we can't use force, what's the real meaning? Because just seeing something wrong and doing nothing, that doesn't feel right either.
It's not about doing nothing. The instruction is to negate it.
And negate it.
Yes, you're being told not to accept it, not to give it your approval. And that negation has to happen on all three levels of your being: physical, mental, and spiritual.
Okay, so negating, not attacking. I get that. But what does a physical negation look like if I can't, grab the person?
Well, it's an outward expression. It can be as simple as shaking your head no.
Yeah.
A verbal negation is saying, please stop that, or just refusing to take part. The real meaning is that you must reject the act, internally and externally, without ever crossing that line into forcing your will on someone else.
And this is where it gets so practical. Qalandar Baba Aulia had that example about the neighbor smoking.
Yes, a perfect example.
You're a deeply spiritual person. You dislike the cigarette smoke. Does that literal interpretation mean you can just go over and choke the guy or smash his cigarette?
Of course not. It's absurd when you think about it. If you followed that forceful reading, you'd feel justified. But it's just not permissible. It completely violates the social contract.
Wow. It's actually astonishing to think how much chaos that one mistranslation could have caused. I mean, if you go and try to physically stop someone on the street.
You'll end up in jail. Or worse. Qalandar Baba Aulia said we're all bound by the rope of society. This faulty, aggressive reading is the root of so much societal decay, so much sectarianism, people literally breaking each other's heads over small things.
But fighting isn't the solution. It has to be internal.
Yeah.
How do we actually combat wrongdoing then?
The path is always self-development. We have to groom ourselves. We have to bloom like a rose.
I like that.
If your character is so refined, people will admire you. They'll follow your example, not your force. That self-improvement is the real essence of the teaching. And honestly, this is why we've been so tragically misunderstood globally. The fault is in our incorrect practice, which comes from that first mistranslated command. And that actually leads us nicely into the next big question, which is about divine decree.
Right, the idea that the pen has dried, Jaf al-Qalam, everything is finalized. But how can that be when we see new systems being built and destroyed all the time?
It's a classic paradox, and it trips a lot of people up. If it's all written, why bother with all this self-development we just talked about?
Exactly.
So Qalandar Baba Aulia's definition is key. He connected Jaf al-Qalam directly to the divine command, kun.
Yeah.
Yes. It means that God, through a focused concentration, a tawajjuh, finalized the initial template for creation.
Ah, so the template is set, the blueprint, not every single brick.
Precisely. The intention is fixed,
Yeah.
and only God can change what he has finalized. He holds the Al-Kitab, the mother of the book, and can erase or retain whatever he wishes.
Okay.
Then he gives us this amazing way of looking at reality. He said that time, in its essence, is all past, masi.
All past. How?
Because creation was God's desire to display his own attributes. It's
Yeah.
all a game of desire. It goes back to that sacred saying, I was a hidden treasure, and I love to be known.
And we hear that all the time. But Murshid Karim pointed out something really crucial about that word, known.
He did, a huge distinction. The common translation is pachana, which just means recognized.
Like seeing someone on the street.
Exactly. Recognition is surface level. The deeper, transformative meaning is to be understood. Samajna.
That one word changes everything. I mean, that's genuinely astonishing.
Yeah.
We use recognized so casually.
Let me give you a practical example. You see, say, Maqsood Sahib walking down the street, you think, oh, I recognize him, and then you move on.
Right. It makes no difference to my life.
None. It's inert information. But understanding a system, for example, like how these divine attributes actually function, that transforms you. It turns dead knowledge into living wisdom.
And this is why divine love is compared to 70 mothers. It's about that level of understanding.
Exactly. God says, I love you more than 70 mothers. Why? Because a mother is the ultimate beloved of her infant child. She understands its every need, hunger, pain, joy, before it can even speak.
She's the beloved because she understands.
Perfectly put. So if a mother is beloved for her understanding, God is the ultimate beloved because his understanding of his creation is infinitely more profound. We were made to understand him, not just recognize him. And that brings us, right to the core purpose of why we're here, to understand God, which means we have to understand his words, his actions, his systems.
And by understanding all of that, we start to understand ourselves and connect our own self to that divine essence.
Precisely. It's a path that leads to this powerful realization that I myself am a point of manifestation of the divine. It's the experience behind the verse, we are nearer to him than the jugular vein.
Wow.
And the Prophet Muhammad just summarized this entire journey in one sentence, a master key. He said, whoever understands himself understands his Lord's attribute of lordship.
Understand yourself first. That's the key. But it's not just a thought experiment, is it? It requires real work. Murshid Karim said the foundation for all of this is balance.
Balance, yes. It's mentioned in Surah Muzammil, and it has to be maintained across all three levels of your being.
Physical, mental, and spiritual.
The physical self, the mental self, the spiritual self. You have to care for the body, grow the mind, and nourish the soul.
And it feels like that balance is the one thing that's most broken in our world today. I mean, where do you see it tipping?
Oh, it's a massive disruption. In the past, you saw extreme asceticism, people running to mountains, neglecting the body completely.
Right.
Today, it's the exact opposite. Almost the entire world is focused 100% on physical labor, on earning a living. The soul is denied, and the mind is, well, it's completely neglected.
So true. We're warned in the Quran, do not disrupt the balance. How do we even begin to fix it, practically speaking?
Murshid Karim gave a very practical minimum equation for anyone on this path.
Okay.
8 hours for self, 8 hours for the world, and 8 hours for God.
8, 8, and 8.
That's the minimum to restore balance. Self includes rest and mental growth. World is your work, your obligations. And God is your prayer, your meditation, your focused connection.
Okay, let's shift gears a little. You brought up a question about names. If someone doesn't have a name, can they have an identity?
Well, names are fundamentally about identification. Shinakt. They let us understand qualities and properties.
How so?
Think of a shrub in the jungle. To most of us, it's just a nameless plant. But in medicine, it might have a very specific name, like Azgaik.
And that name means something.
It means everything. It tells the doctor it's used for bile issues or for allergies. The name is a label for a set of properties. It's the title on the folder.
But not the contents inside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can read the title all day, but if you don't open the file, you've learned nothing. The name just points you to the knowledge.
Which brings us to that incredible story of Prophet Abraham and the 4 birds. The question was him calling them back by name a kind of control over names?
No, not at all. The spiritual science at play there is something far deeper. It's affinity, intimacy, what we call Insiyat.
Insiyat.
It's a bond of mutual love and affection between two souls.
Like you have with a pet.
A perfect analogy. You name your dog Tony or Jack. Once that dog is intimate with you, Manus, it responds to the name. The name is just a trigger for the bond that's already there.
But the birds were. I mean, they were slaughtered and mixed up. How does a bond explain resurrection?
This is the astonishing part. Murshid Karim explained this specific spiritual science. He said the incident proved that once that bond of Insiyat is established, it continues even after physical death.
Wow.
The souls of those birds were so focused on Abraham that when he called, they answered from the spiritual plane, from the zone of lights, and retook their material form. It proves the bond is on the soul level and that spiritual focus can command material reality. And, speaking of these deep spiritual bonds, there was that question about Qalandar Baba Alia's visits with Pai Nisar Ali Sahib. The meeting sounded so quiet.
Right. They say hello, maybe have some tea, and then leave. Very little conversation. What was the point of that?
The purpose, as Qalandar Baba Alia said, was simply to enjoy the company.
Yes, enjoy the company.
Yes. Their friendship was so deep that words weren't necessary. Think back to being a kid. Sometimes you just sit next to your best friend, not saying anything, just for the comfort and peace, the sukoon of their presence.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So it wasn't some secret transmission of knowledge.
No, it was just the deep, natural enjoyment of a spiritual companionship that has gone beyond the need for words.
Okay, and one final concept to define. Fitri Inslakh. What is that?
So fitri means natural, and Inslakh means softness or pliability, like something sinking into another.
Okay.
It describes a soul that has such a profound natural softness, a guraz, that whatever it takes in, whatever it internalizes is completely absorbed. Jazz. There's no resistance.
So unlike our normal consciousness, which kind of filters everything,
Yeah.
we weigh it, we judge it, we reject some of it.
Exactly. Fitri Inslakh is the willingness for full accommodation. That natural pliability is what allows a person to absorb the divine attributes at a much, much deeper level. It just accelerates the whole process of self-realization we've been talking about.
This has been, well, a true deep dive. From misinterpretations of Hadith all the way to the softness of the soul required for realization. Thank you for walking us through these sources. They're incredibly rich.
It's been my pleasure. I really hope these ideas help you not just to understand, but to apply them in your own journey of self-development.
We ended on that really practical idea of balance. 8 hours for self, 8 hours for the world, 8 hours for God. So here's a thought for you. Take a moment right now and just calculate it for yourself. How many minutes do you actually give to those three parts of your life? Mind and body, worldly work, and real spiritual connection. Where is your life unbalanced? And what's 1 minute, just one, that you can shift today to start fixing it? That's something to think about long after we're done. Until next time.